Hi, this is Joni, and I'm doing Chapter 8 from Teaching Through Text, Reading and Writing in the Content Areas, and it is over reading guides. So I've decided to talk about advantages of reading guides, types of reading guides, things to keep in mind when creating these guides, and using reading guides. So the advantages of written reading guides are: one, it helps to focus the student's attention on important aspects of the content. And this shows them what is important, what they need to take away from the lesson, the content. It makes the reading process active rather than passive. It keeps them actively involved because they're checking that reading guide, looking for, things that are on the reading guide that they need to know. They're not just sitting there reading. And it helps students make their own meaning of the content. They can put it into their own words with the written reading guides. Four, it integrates reading and writing, and that's important in all the content areas to integrate reading with the writing aspect because, like I said a while ago, it makes it active. It keeps them involved in it. A written reading guide is a useful tool for review. So if they're going to have a test over the information, before the test, they can go back and they can pull out that reading guide and they can review that reading guide. And it's also a valuable discussion aid. So they can put their opinions into the discussion or their questions that they had and maybe get some of those questions answered by their peers or the teacher. And research has proven the effectiveness of reading guides. So um, we can't go against science. We teach it. So we need to kind of follow what science has found effective. There are 5 types of guides. There is the hierarchical, which has 3 levels to guide reading. It's while students read, after reading, and then those open-ended questions that get them really thinking about what they've read. The non-hierarchical follows the text from start to finish. So it's going to go, question 1 is going to be at the start of the text, and the last question will be at the end of the text. So they're not mixed up like they would be in the hierarchical. Hierarchical is going to just be a mix of these questions and not telling them where to look, possibly. The question levels are mixed, so you are speaking to all different levels of students, and those that are on a lower level of comprehension, you can try to assist them with these reading guides to step it up to the next level of comprehension. And the non-hierarchical can contain subheadings and page numbers. So if you have subheadings in your text that they're reading, you can put those above those questions for that subheading. You can put page numbers by the questions. That way it really focuses them and they know where they really, really need to pay attention, because sometimes our kids really need that. A selective guide encourages students to skim or skip portions. That way they're not reading and then they're like, oh, this is boring, so I'm going to wander off over here and think about this. They can skip certain portions. And by doing this, it helps students to focus on important information, and it taps into that prior knowledge. It gets them thinking, okay, so I know this about this topic. How can I expand this with this information? Point of view guides encourages writing about the reading. It's less pressure for students to use textbook language. It is applicable to many content areas. So this one is used for a wide variety of our contents. And It encourages students to look at others' viewpoints. So we want our students to see things from how others think about it. The anticipation guide consists of statements about the material covered by the text. So you will give the students statements listed out, and then the students will agree or disagree with the statements. You will have a class discussion over this. And this also assists in activating prior knowledge and gets them really thinking about the topic. It gets them anticipating about the topic. And so when we construct a reading guide, we have to analyze the material. We don't want to overcrowd the print. We want to make it interesting because we want to keep them actively working on the reading guide and the reading. And when you're making the reading guide, you need to review your purpose. What do you want your students to take away from this? You want to use a word processor to make it because it gives it a nicer, neater, easy to read feel. You can use page numbers or subheadings. You can label the thinking skills that students will use. That way, you've got them actively knowing what they have to think, how they have to think about this. You can include comprehension aids, and you should include questions that encourage students to think carefully about the content. So you really want to make sure that your questions are valid and really get them thinking about what they're reading. So when using reading guides, it helps to monitor your students' comprehension. Before using the reading guide, you want to walk the students through the guides because they're not going to know what you want. This goes back to explicit instructions and explicit expectations. You want them to know, one, their purpose, two, what you want from this. And using reading guides, you can use them cooperatively. So you can do a group or partner work with these reading guides. And you can pair them up how you see fit. You can put a higher level thinker with a lower or medium level thinker, and that can guide those lower level thinkers to see how this other student thinks the way that they do. I think reading guides are wonderful, and I think it's even beneficial when you are having them read a book for like a book club. If you do that in your classroom, I think that it could just really, really work out very well in many areas of our content that we will be teaching. So I hope you understand reading guides a little better, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.